It's bad. Hi, I'm Aydan Metsch, and I'm here to talk about Star Wars, but I just want to make this clear. I'm gonna focus on the positives. Just because I didn't like a movie doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy parts of it. So, I'm gonna just focus on the positives. This movie is horrible. Rise of Skywalker is a bad movie, but not in the way that this is a bad movie, more in the way that these are bad movies. Because I love this movie. I had so much fun watching this movie, genuinely. I was laughing my ass off the whole time. It was hysterical. The dialogue is laughable, and the characters have like no development and are paper thin, and you do not care if they live or die. There were parts of this movie where I was actively rooting for the main characters of the movie to die, because I just didn't care, and that would have been so funny. In almost every aspect of the film, the movie is flawless. There are some genuinely breathtaking visuals, incredible cinematography, lighting, outstanding production design in the worlds they create, and the character designs are unique and new, and the costumes are great. The visual effects are perfect, as always, and the sound is crisp and bassy and unique and incredible. And of course, the score is Star Wars. It'll always be amazing. So what's wrong here? It seems like it's all fitting together. What's the issue? Oh, the story. The story is bad. The story is messy, it's disjointed, it doesn't seem to have much of a point. I couldn't tell you what certain characters' motivations are. It just doesn't make much sense to me. It doesn't really have a point. But the main issue with the movie is that it's trying to do so much, so quickly, and it's so rushed. Okay, I said no spoilers, but spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie yet, go see the movie, come back, we can have fun. I'll still be here, we'll still be chilling. But go see the movie, or don't see the movie, or click off the video, watch something else. Spoilers. Okay, let's just recap the plot. Kylo, aka Ben, aka Big Boy Benjamin, is back, baby! And he's just killing it. And by killing it, I mean slaughtering a ton of people. Classic him. So he finds a triangle and then flies to a floating chunk error and goes inside to meet up with an old friend who has 1.5 thumbs and has been manipulating you to the dark side the whole time. This guy. So my boy Sheev is back, and he's a zombie ghost clone thing, and he tells Kylo to kill Rey. Where is Rey, you may ask? That's a good question. She's meditating in the forest. Traitor, Apocalypse, and a walking carpet find out that Palpatine has returned from a leaker. So Rey checks her text and sees that they have to go to not Tatooine to find some dude. So they get to the festival where a bunch of fampy-looking people are doing the Macarena, and then the First Order finds them, and then out of nowhere, Lando Calrissian just shows up and pulls them into his barge, and then they immediately dip and then steal from the locals and then fall in a ball pit. So they escape the ball pit, find a butter knife, feel up a snake, and then they leave. They find a ship and are about to leave when Rey decides she wants to go for a walk. And then Chewie decides that he wants to go for a walk. And the Knights of Ren capture Chewie, and Rey is almost involved in a hit and run, and then Rey kills Chewie. Star Wars, Episode 9, Rey kills Chewie. So now they're flying to find like a drug addict Yoda to like hack into C-3PO so that he can say bad words that the YouTube algorithm won't let him say. So after they show Poe Sideho and 3PO knows Zero, our heroes loiter on an Imperial Star Destroyer. So Rey sneaks into Kylo's bedroom, Finn and Poe save the Wookiee, and then 3PO does the robot to distract the guards. Kylo tells Rey that she's the granddaughter of Palpatine, who tried to kill her because he was scared of her as a baby. I am the most powerful being in the entire universe. So they're about to put the boys to death when Ed Sheeran flipped the script and shot the guards, revealing that he was the leaker the whole time. They all escape to the Falcon, and Rey long jumps on board, and then they blow up the planet they were just on like 10 minutes ago. So they head to another planet with the remains of the Death Star, and a lady on a horse tells them that it would be impossible to get there. So Rey grabs a boat and Moanas her way to the Death Star. She makes her way to the Emperor's old groove and fights Snapchat filter Rey over another triangle. And then Kylo shows up and he crushes the triangle, and then they fight, and then they go outside for some fresh air, and then Rey impales Kylo in the abdomen. Oh right, so Leia's just like chilling in the forest, and she realizes she's really low on battery, and she can only send one more text. That's disrespectful. So after they get that text message, Rey realizes, hey, maybe this guy who's been trying to kill me for like 5 years isn't so bad. And she unstabs him and then flies away. Afterwards, Kylo sees Han, and this, I'll give props to this. I really like this scene. And then Kylo yeets his lightsaber into the ocean and goes back to his old username, Ben Solo. So Rey is having a bonfire by herself on Porg Island when Luke joins in spectator mode and tells her to face Palpatine and take Leia's lightsaber. By the way, I forgot to say, this is like retcon the movie. The whole movie is retcon the movie. Leia was training to be a Jedi. Not this Leia, and not this Leia. Weird, scary PS3 Leia. He gives her his busted X-Wing and she flies to the Chunk Air to fight Sheev and his army of cloaks. Sheev is all like, kill me and absorb my power, and therefore you will absorb the power of the Sith. And then Rey's all like, yeah man, I'm down. But first, check out this magic trick. Ta-da! More on that later, but now we're talking about Poe, who's on the Forest planet and is all like, all right guys, let's just end the war real quick. Let's just make it real. I'm the new general. Let's just end the war. So they all show up to the Chunk Air. Every single person in the Resistance shows up, and they realize that they're like a little unnumbered, a little bit, and they didn't really have a game plan. Oopsie. Right, I forgot. Ben is here now, and he's fighting the Knights of Ren, and then he postmates himself the lightsaber, and then he's like, and then he walks over to see what's popping with Palpatine, and then they both end up, Rey and him, they just get the life force, like the Emperor, he can take himself off the giant GLaDOS song, and he can return. They're like, woo, let's go! That Emperor, woo! And then the Emperor's all like, and he just like he hand lightnings the sky and turns it into like the Electric City. Rey, this part's kind of dope actually. Rey is like thinking and she's like hearing all these voices and she hears like Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan and Anakin and Yoda.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
Surround us, bind us. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
There is no doubt of it.
I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass.
I don't like sand.
So through the power of all the fallen Jedi, she's able to stand up, regain her strength, and Mace Windu the Emperor's face off. Did you not learn, Sheev? Anyway, so then Rey dies. Star Wars, Episode 9, Rey dies. But then Kylo comes back and he brings Rey back to life, and you're like, wow, damn. I mean, they're a really good team. I know I can't read signals, but like there was nothing there at any point that conveyed that was gonna happen. Anyway, so then Ben pieces out. Lando shows up, and then they completely clown on the Empire, and the Empire is just gone, and they destroy the whole thing. And everyone's happy, except for Ben, because he's dead. But then at the end of the movie, Rey returns to the Lars home on Tatooine, and she finds an old lady, and the old lady asks her what her name is. She looks to her right, and sees the ghosts of Luke and Leia, smiling at her, nodding as if they're approving. And she says, I'm Rey. Rey Solo. Skywalker. This movie doesn't make me angry. The Last Jedi made me angry, but the more I thought about it, I realized that the people that I'm getting angry at are just the names on the posters. They're there to be blamed. These movies, all three of them in the new trilogy, suffer the same problem. Lack of vision. They weren't made to continue the story, they were made to make billions of dollars and sell toys, which there's nothing wrong with that. Ever since 1977, Star Wars movies have been there to make money and sell toys. Awesome! There's nothing wrong with that, but when there's no game plan going into a trilogy, there's a lack of cohesion, and you just get left with a soulless, confusing, an empty set of movies. These movies feel so separated from each other. They don't feel like they're sequels to each other. When they plan these movies, they didn't say this character's gonna start here and then go here and then end up here. They just went, we're gonna ask some questions and then the next guy is gonna figure it out. But a lot of people liked The Force Awakens. I liked The Force Awakens. I thought it was a great foundation. And then when The Last Jedi came around, I said, why would they do that? They had such a great start. Why would they ruin it? Because the script for The Last Jedi was written before The Force Awakens came out. They had people writing a sequel to a movie they haven't seen yet. They pushed these movies out as fast as possible. They wanted it to be Marvel, but Star Wars is not Marvel. See, with Marvel movies, you have 2, 3 a year, but they don't feel special. Do you remember when The Force Awakens came out? I'm just gonna say it. That was the most hype for any movie ever. But when you release a ton every single year all the time, they don't feel special. And these types of movies can't be mass produced one every single year. See, with the originals and the prequels, they had 3 years. 3 years to write them, shoot them, perfect them, edit, and make sure that they were perfect. So a lot of them were not perfect, but imagine if they only had 2 years to make those. These movies only had 2 years to be made, and that's with another movie being made at the exact same time. They were rushed for time, and then there were unforeseen circumstances with the tragic death of Carrie Fisher. With that, a lot of plot lines and story threads had to be cut because she was an integral part of the films. Without Carrie Fisher, there is no Leia, and without Leia, you're down a huge part of the entire saga. They had to cobble together an already broken movie, and it just kept falling apart But the other thing, other than that, they didn't have a plan for this new trilogy was...
Straight across. Just wham! That's it. Look at that, man. Look at that.
Fan feedback is an important thing to listen to with these types of movies. I mean, if it wasn't for fan feedback, Jar Jar Binks would have been a much bigger part of 2 more movies. And fan criticism is not people hating on the movies. It's people that genuinely care about these properties and want them to be better. The issue with the new trilogy is that when fans criticize something about the old one, there was no plan for that thing to keep going. So they didn't just take it out of the new story and then kind of stitch together. They just slashed it completely and pretended that it never existed in the first place, which feels like they weren't important at all, and which shows they didn't have any plan for that character. Question over here. Oh, yes? Oh, who is Rey? Well, that's a good question. You know, I can't tell you that, but you'll just have to wait and see. It's incredible. Guys, seriously, we need to figure out who Rey is. What? The fans want Rey to be Mace Windu's brother? All right, make that canon. This causes all 3 movies to feel like they're not connected. Like, one doesn't affect the next. The Force Awakens is a soft reboot with new characters and new questions posed, and it doesn't take too many risks, but it does exactly what it needs to do. Fans didn't like that. They thought it was a copy. So, The Last Jedi. They tried to subvert the audience's expectations by making them think it was dark and philosophical. And they subverted the expectations by the movie just being Mark Hamill sucking an alien titty. The fans complained it was too radically different. So then... this movie is just sad. It looks and sounds like a Star Wars movie, but the story feels like it was written by an 11-year-old who likes the prequels better than the originals. It's rushed. It jumps from plot point to plot point and MacGuffin to MacGuffin, and with no character development in between, it just leaves it feeling like lifeless and like an empty husk of a movie. It was painful to walk into a movie knowing that it had no potential to succeed. In no world could this movie have appeased angry fans, entertained old ones, and still have been a satisfying ending to a 9-movie saga. It had everything it needed to succeed. It had decades of hype and millions of dollars and tons of talented and passionate people, but it was an opportunity that was never fully thought out. And it just ends up feeling like a worse remake of the originals. Sometimes it's fun to wonder what I would have done if I had written it. I'm not saying that I should have. I'm not saying that I could have even, but I just think about it. What would I do if I had the opportunity to write the new trilogy? Would I take a step back and start at The Force Awakens? Or would I maybe just scrap The Force Awakens and take the characters? Or maybe just start new? Or maybe I just wouldn't have written it. Maybe I would have stopped the saga after episode 6. I'd just leave it after they destroy the Death Star. Instead of some superficial, overdramatic ending that seems to wrap up all too quickly, Star Wars ends lingering on a shot of friends, of family. The people who saved the universe together. Not saying anything, but just looking at each other and acknowledging that the fight was over. The saga was complete. Everything is in its right place. Thanks for watching. I'm Aydan Metsch. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. It helps out a very small creator, and your one subscription means the world to me. If you comment down below, I will probably reply. I'll probably heart it. I love talking to people. I have a lot more videos on the way in the new year, and I'm super excited. Yes.